Terror stalks the night as Zanbar Bone and his bloodthirsty moondogs hold the prosperous town of Silverton to ransom. You are an adventurer, a sword for hire, and the merchants of Silverton turn to you in their hour of need. Your task takes you to the dark, twisting streets of Port Blacksand in search of vital information without which the ultimate defeat is impossible. Thieves, vagabonds, and creatures of the night lie in wait to trap the unwary traveller, and often your only choice is to kill or be killed. Then, beyond the port, lies the most fearsome adventure of them all, the tower stronghold of the Prince of Night himself, Zanbar Bone. Hello, I'm Colin Green, and you are listening to Spike Pit. You are an adventurer in a world of monsters and magic, living by quickness of wit and skill of sword. You earn your gold as a hired warrior, usually in the employ of rich nobles and barons, on missions too dangerous or difficult for their own men. Slaying monsters and fearsome beasts in pursuit of some fabled treasure comes as second nature to you. Being an experienced and highly trained swordsman, you allow nothing to stand in your way on your quests. Your success on a mission is always assured, and your reputation has spread throughout the lands. Whenever you enter a village or town, the news of your arrival spreads through the citizens like wildfire, as few of them have ever met a dragon slayer before. One evening, after a long walk through the outlands, you arrive at Silverton, which lies at the crossroads of the main trading routes in these parts. Great wooden wagons hauled by teams of oxen are often seen rumbling slowly through the town, laden with herbs, spices, silks, metalware and exotic foods from far-off lands. Over the years, Silverton has prospered as a result of the rich merchants and traders stopping there en route to distant markets. Its wealth is quite apparent, with ornate buildings and richly dressed people aplenty. But as you enter the town gates, something strikes you as being not quite right. The people look nervous and on edge. Then you notice that all the windows on the buildings have great iron grills bolted over them, and the doors have been strengthened too. Although you prefer your own company to that of others, you decide to stay in Silverton for the night to find out who or what is troubling the people. As you walk down the main street, a single note from a bell rings out from a tall tower ahead. Then a man shouts, almost desperately, "Nightfall! Nightfall! Everybody indoors!" You see people scurrying around with anxious faces and looking surprised when they see you. Across the street you see a tavern with the words, "The Old Toad," painted on its signboard. As you enter the tavern, a whisper runs through the locals as they recognise you. Some put down their mugs and stare. You are somewhat surprised that none come over to you to hear tales of adventure. Walking over to the counter, you ask the old innkeeper for a room and a hot tub. But he ignores you and shuffles over to the great oak door, pushing 6 large iron bolts into place. Only then does he turn to you and say quietly, "That will be 5 copper pieces for the room, and 1 more for the tub. In advance, if you please." You reach into a leather pouch on your belt and toss the coins on the counter. He hands you an iron key, but at that very moment there is a loud knocking at the door, followed by a voice shouting, "Open up! Open up! This is Owen Caroliff." The old innkeeper shuffles over to the oak door again and slides open the bolts. Then a fat and balding man dressed in rich scarlet robes bursts into the tavern, looking around frantically. He sees you and walks quickly in your direction, huffing and puffing. He is a man certainly not used to haste. You notice great beads of sweat on his forehead in the pale candlelight of the room. As he nears you, he calls out urgently, "Stranger, I must speak with you. Please, sit down. It is important that I speak with you." When he turns to the innkeeper to snap his fingers for food and drink, you can see that he is obviously of some standing in the town. but his face is full of anguish and sorrow. Being curious, you decide to hear what the man has to say. He pulls out a chair for you at a table, bidding you to sit down, and the innkeeper bustles in with a tray laden with hot broth, roast goose and mead. The man in the scarlet robe sits opposite in silence, watching you as you feast, as though examining you for some purpose of his own. Finally, as you push your plate away, the man leans forward and says in a low but anxious voice, "Stranger, I know of you and seek your aid. My name is Owen Caroliff, and I am the mayor of Silverton. We are in great trouble and danger. We are living under a curse, and it is I who must rid us of it. 10 days ago, 2 messengers of evil rode into town on huge black stallions with fiery red eyes. It was impossible to see the faces of the riders, for they wore long black cloaks with hoods pulled over their faces. Their voices were cold, and each word spoken ended with an unnerving hiss. They asked for me by name, and when I came to greet them, they wanted to take my beloved daughter Mirella to stay with their master Zambar Bone. No doubt you know that he is the Night Prince. Of course, I refused their demand, and without another word, they turned and rode slowly out of the town, heads down and shoulders hunched. I knew that beneath the cloaks were hidden the skeletal and soulless bodies of spirit stalkers. Zambar Bone always uses them as his messengers, as they will complete their mission or die in the attempt, and they do not die easily. Only a silver arrow through the heart will release those evil beings from their eternal twilight existence. Who knows what it would take to kill Zambar Bone? Anyway, that same night after the spirit stalkers left, our troubles began. The Night Prince was angry and determined to harm us. 6 moondogs came, each stronger than 4 men, each with razor-sharp fangs. They stalked through the town, entering homes through open windows and killing the poor people inside. In the morning, we counted 23 dead. So we barred our windows and bolted our doors. Yet each night the moondogs return, and we are unable to sleep for fear that they might find a way into our homes. Some people are now talking of sending Muriela to Zambar Bone. Those whimpering traitors, I should have flogged them. But what good would that do? There is but one hope, and that rests with you, stranger. There is a man called Nicodemus, who, for reasons I never understand, lives in Port Blacksand. The place is commonly called the City of Thieves, as it is the home of every pirate, brigand, assassin, thief and evildoer for hundreds of miles around. I think he lives there just to get some peace from the likes of us. He is a wise old wizard and is unlikely to come to much harm even in Port Blacksand, for his magical powers are great. He alone is capable of defeating Zambar Bone. He used to be a friend of mine many years ago. We need him, and I beg you to bring him to us. None here dares enter Port Blacksand. You will be well rewarded if you help us, stranger. Take these 30 gold pieces for your journey, and take this sword to use and keep. As Owen Caroliff rises, he pulls back his scarlet robe, revealing the finest broadsword you have ever seen. He hands it to you, and touching the edge of the blade, you are surprised to see a droplet of blood fall from your finger. You then examine the marvellously ornate gilded serpents twining round the hilt. You have never wanted anything so badly in your life before. You stand up and hold out your right arm to Owen. He shakes it eagerly, saying, "You must set off at the first light of dawn. The moondogs will be gone by then. I shall be forced to stay the night here also, so let's drink our destiny and may the gods be with us." For the next hour, Owen talks about your coming journey, explaining in detail how to reach Port Blacksand. Later, you gather up your backpack and furs and climb the wooden stairs to your room. You sleep uneasily despite the security afforded by your new broadsword, as you are more than once woken by the sniffing, scratching and howling of the roaming moondogs outside. By dawn, you are already awake and dressed and determined to reach Port Blacksand quickly to find this man Nicodemus. As you leave the tavern, a black cat scurries past your feet and you almost trip. A bad omen, perhaps. And there you go. Thanks for taking a little bit of time out of your day to listen to this Spike Pit reading of City of Thieves, a fighting fantasy game book in which you are the hero, written by Ian Livingston. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care, and I'll catch you later.